Spooky.
Spooky.
More Halloween-y stuff, although this video is not coming out in anywhere near October. Even though I actually should have realized that. I put all this together because I used it today for the stream, and it's like this is gonna go up like September 2nd probably.
Spooky show.
The scariest time of year, September. Ooh.
Right.
Oh man. So welcome to the Retro Boost podcast. Got me. I'm here, Mike, and joining me is Tori. How you doing, Tori? It's great to have you on the show for the first time. It's Tori's first time ever. This is incredible. We never got him before. He's always booked, always on a jet somewhere, you know, on the moon or something. Crazy, dude.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here for sure. I got like 5 minutes, so
yeah.
let's get rolling on this.
Yeah, I figured that he's an important guy doing important stuff.
Important
So
stuff.
we're talking about, we're here to talk about Alien Earth, a show that I had no faith in for it succeeding whatsoever.
And I convinced you to watch.
Yeah, I think I was always going to watch it because I've watched all things Alien, so eventually I would have picked it up, but I think your convincing got me to watch it prior to it finishing its run. I think that's what I'm going to give you immense credit for, because otherwise I probably wouldn't have watched this for like a year or two. Because yeah, I don't know, like there were like early red flags for me when the guy was like talking, like one of the showrunners, the writer or somebody. I remember sending it to you. We were both kind of like, ugh. He said something that implied that he'd like never watched like anything from any of the franchise or something like that. It was like he hadn't engaged much with it.
That tracks.
Something like he had seen and been aware of, like, you know, Alien and probably Aliens 1, 2, and 3 and 4, but like I think he made a reference to not being engaged with like the newer movies and whatever. I remember seeing that, and it was kind of like a similar red flag when it's like the Halo people were like, we never play the games at all. And, and you're like, sure. God damn it. But it's good.
Yeah, I mean, for us, we were looking for a new show, and me and my wife both loved the IP, and it just came at the right time, and TV shows just kind of work better for us, especially when they're coming out in short bursts, just because of the kids and all that. But yeah, no, we were super excited for it, and you know, we really enjoyed the show.
Didn't Romulus come out last September too?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I got 2 Septembers in a row of pretty killer Alien stuff. The franchise is definitely on the upswing. I mean, even going back before Romulus, what was that? 2022? Was that Prey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Each year we've gotten. Of course, I don't know if 2023 was. 2024.
No, we had the game.
Yeah.
Dark Descent was 2023.
Oh.
I think.
Where are you going?
Pretty sure. There's updates on the Steam page from that year, so I assume it's that year. I don't see that game being the kind of game that gets support a year after it came out. So,
I would love a Dark Descent too. That would be sick.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I think every year we've gotten some pretty good thing from the AVP franchise, except for AVP literally itself. But anyway, so Alien Earth, pretty dang good. What we're going to talk about today are kind of our thoughts on episodes 1 through 4. So this is like a pulse check. We're halfway through the show. Full spoilers. We've said it before, we're not good at no spoilers. We'll just sit here and say how good it is. Like, it's good for 10 minutes. That's going to be the spoiler free section, so we're just going to skip all that. Spoilers ahoy. So Alien Earth, as the name implies, it does what Alien 3 lied about doing. I don't know if you know that there were like early trailers for Alien 3 that said like, this time the alien comes to Earth, like something like that, because that movie is such a catastrophic disaster with its making.
It gets harder and harder by the day to defend that movie.
I'm gonna erode you.
You're just beating me down until I just say, okay, it sucks. Okay, I get it. He makes me defend that film like I'm some sort of law student or something. It's crazy.
It's been coming up a lot recently.
He's like, convince me the film is good without bringing up the cast, and I'm like, what? This is not fair at all.
Because I was like, your love for Game of Thrones clouds your judgment.
Charles Dance is the man. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what you say.
Discounting Ellen Ripley herself, his character is the best one in that movie. I will say that, but Alien Earth.
Yes.
In the timeline, I think Earth is set at the one of the earliest points. I think this is supposed to be before all of the other movies we've seen past the first one.
So it takes place before the first film.
Oh, it's before even Alien?
Which is very interesting. I'm pretty sure, which is very interesting to me.
Before I just guessed the wrong stuff.
I'm pretty sure because I remember reading some complaints about that.
Ooh.
Because that doesn't make any sense.
Well, I mean, it might. I have a thought on that. Now that you're saying that.
I have a thought as well, actually, and I think it actually plays into the story, and I think we will get a conclusion that we will be surprised about.
It takes place 2 years before the original movie.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Which
means that implies a couple things, and I'm sure we'll work through that.
Well, already I'll just say that that's why the protocol probably. Well, I don't know. They're in space for like 100 years in these movies, so it's hard to say. But I'm guessing Weyland-Yutani sent a firmware patch to the Nostromo over radio to be like, "Hey, if you hear beeps, it's probably aliens. We want them because we just had some in our backyard, and it was like kind of cool, but not cool." It's just, it's probably what was going on. I didn't realize that. I figured it was after. I just kind of assumed.
Right. Well, the guy who did the show took a little bit of heat online for that, but he just said, I just didn't really care.
Well, that's what we're saying. He's funny because he's just like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, he said something about how, he stressed out about that for a while, but then just realized, well, what the hell?
Okay, it's not before Prometheus and Covenant, but like, who gives a shit? Those movies can.
Oh yeah, I don't care about those.
Kick rocks.
Those need to be retconned.
Yeah, well, I mean, I felt like Romulus was trying to do that.
I agree.
But then a conversation we'll get into is how that's almost validated by something that goes on in this show, which is really unfortunate. But anyway, so Alien Earth, as the name implies, as we said before, what Alien 3 didn't do because it sucks, is the... It's fine. It's just like a super fair movie. I won't say it's bad. But I just also hate it at the same time. The aliens come to Earth, and when this was first announced, in my mind's eye, I was like, "Oh, is this going to be like a reattempt at like the second AVP, where these creatures are introduced into like a contemporary, like present day setting?" No, and I was kind of like, I don't know, but then it's good. So the crux of the whole show is that there's a science vessel that experiences some problems, crashes on Earth, as the name implies, releasing some chaos as it goes. And there's directions the show goes that there's no way you were prepared for when it begins, sometimes to its detriment, sometimes to its immense strength. But that's the setup, is a ship carrying not just xenomorph life forms, but other alien life forms as well, has crashed here. $10 says right now that season 2 of this show is the mission where they actually acquire all these specimens.
That is what I'm hoping for sure. And you remember when I kind of told you that we were enjoying the show, I had said there's kind of like a foreshadowing type thing that occurs in the beginning of the show, and I really hope that they go back to that and we get to see kind of how you get there. You get really Aliens 1 style setup where you have these crewmates and they're all kind of filling their own roles, and it feels very like homage to the first film. And I just, for me, immediately I was like, I'm digging this. I'm digging everything that I'm seeing. The little green text in the beginning of each show is great.
Yeah.
The way that it's like,
Well, it's got the
like,
it's got the
it's
retro future tech thing that the original
it's-
2 movies have, that Romulus also decided to adapt. And I like that Alien Earth is continuing that because it's becoming a franchise signature, because that was something that Prometheus and Covenant very stupidly got away from, and there's just no explanation for it. People have like tried to say, well, we've never seen what like a rich person's vessel looks like, and it's it's like it's not that dramatic, dude. Like a Toyota Corolla versus a Lexus, yeah, but also no, the Lexus doesn't also have holograms and like no, it's not. No. I refuse to accept that one. I think it's just generic and lazy, and that's just what everyone was doing, hologram tables and crap. Thanks, Iron Man. So like, yeah, like no. So I was so happy watching Romulus when they found ways to have like smart futuristic devices that can do things that our technology can't, but with that retro paint job.
Right.
And Earth continues that, and again they do ways to like make it kind of cool, like all these CCTV systems and robotic stuff and things, but it still has that retro sheen on it. And Alien Earth, I think its first like its opening scene is clearly like a, you know, we're gonna bring you back to Alien 1979, because like we get the Dreamers fade in where the pods are opening up. I remember I read some of the book, the novelization of the first movie. They call them like 7 dreamers in their pods. Cool. And like we get that fade in and the pods open and they're having like the little breakfast and they're talking about the contracts and stuff. So it's like very Alien. And much like the original Alien, there's like some sinister vibes coming off of one of the crewmates like immediately, like with Ash.
Yep.
And things go wrong on that ship, and we get to see like the end of it going wrong, but we don't see what triggers it, how things went wrong. I don't know. I could see them doing a full season on like what that ship did. At the same time, I could also see them just doing like a single flashback episode, like a Morrow episode basically is what they might end up actually doing. Either way,
Well,
I think I'd be
mean,
interested.
Yeah, I would totally be okay with both. If they give us any of that, I would be thrilled. Especially because I think throughout the show, we're gonna start to in a weird way build like relationships with the aliens that we've seen throughout the show, and I think seeing them getting captured or whatever, and seeing the start point of them, I think it's gonna be really cool.
Yeah, because normally I'm pretty disinterested in prequels, because if it's got the same characters, they just have plot armor and you know that like going in. But I think that
everybody's gone but Mara. So.
Well, I'm about to say I have an asterisk though. I don't really care if it involves xenomorphs. I'm willing to perfectly enjoy that going on, even if I know that only one of them is going to get away. With that said, there were a couple like in-universe things I thought were pretty cool to see kind of out of the gate. The mother chamber has like an emergency like impact pod in it that you can like get inside of to like potentially survive like a massive ship crash. Thought that was kind of cool. And then we also get introduced to the xenomorph of the first chunk of the show. So there's only one xenomorph so far, which is fine. It doesn't need to be aliens. They could build up to something like that, but like we don't need it to be out of the gate necessarily. Per the making of footage, this xenomorph's name is Steve. They were showing off the animatronic and they said its nickname was Steve for unspecified reasons. I will say it's not the best. There have been better xenomorph animatronics and suits in the franchise. It's not the best. It definitely has like a rubbery kind of thing going for it. He's a little stiff. But in the wider shots where it is suit work, I think it's a lot better. But there are some close-ups that are a little bit like, it's not that great. But
Yeah.
I think right away though the show kind of establishes the ferocity and power of these creatures, because like Morrow like welds the mother door shut, but this thing gets through it in like under 10 seconds. Like it is just ripping through that door, trying to break into his like reinforced little crash chamber that's built to survive, like being thudded onto a planet. This thing's just like ripping into it. I thought it was kind of nuts actually how violent and like insane this particular xenomorph was. Every time he's on screen, he's like a violence tornado. Like he's just slaughtering everything as fast as possible.
Yeah, that scene where he was banging on the door and pulling it back and really trying to get to Morrow, I just loved, because like you said, it really like showed the viewer like this thing is powerful. This thing is really, really strong. It's like a bear.
Don't you dare.
But it's Steve.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, but anyways, no, that scene I just loved
like
as like a set piece for like this thing is brutal, and it's later in the show they describe it as being 8 feet tall, and I think a lot of times the viewer, like, we don't get a great shot, and he's 8 feet tall, and it's really scary.
Yeah. And that's also something that I think makes the first episode a little bit disjointed, because we get all that and then it's gone. Because then we switch into like setup mode, because the ship crashes and we kind of see some of the immediate response to that. We get some world building in the realization that Weyland-Yutani is just one of many companies. It's a megacorp kind of situation where the world is run by like a variety of mega corporations as opposed to governments, and Weyland-Yutani is just one of the 5. They're presumably one of like the bigger of the 5. We know that the one that the show is mostly following is probably one of the smaller ones of the group. It's described as being one of the newest to the table, so in my mind it's probably the smallest, but it's called a Prodigy. And that's where it's the part where it's like you would have probably never saw this coming, but like then the show like completely goes into a different thing where it's about the advent of like putting human consciousnesses into synthetic bodies, because synthetics are like a huge part of this franchise since the beginning, with Ash and then with Bishop and then so on, and then like, to its credit, Prometheus and Covenant explored a little bit more of that by introducing David, who is kind of like what these kids are in the show. David was an unrestricted synthetic. He could do whatever he wanted. Like if he wanted to rip someone's throat out for no reason, he can do that. Whereas in the next movie in Covenant, we saw Walter's more like Bishop was, where it's like he's got rules. Right. So like we're seeing kind of the dawn of like that unrestricted side, but they're not full synthetics. They're like kids with terminal diseases whose bodies, their brains are being uploaded into synthetic bodies, adult bodies. So they're like adult bodies, but they have like their kid brains still. And it's all part of, that's what this company's whole gimmick is like these experiments. And like that's what the first episode is mostly dedicated to, is like showing us these kids like journey, how they were transitioning in these bodies and like how they're getting used to it and what it's like. It's a lot of world building, and I think it makes the first episode, I wouldn't say bad, but like tough.
Yeah, well, you know, you brought up the moving the consciousness into the synth, and I think one of the things that doing that kind of allows the show to do is have this like light comedic element to it at times, because you know that these adults have child brains in them, so the way that they communicate and the way that they act, it's like kids, but it's coming out of adults. So like it allows this like light airiness to the show that I think without that plot piece they really couldn't have done. So I actually think that element creates this like light element to the show that I've really enjoyed.
The setup, it's worth it. Episode 1 is spread pretty thin, but ultimately it's worth it, because all that stuff that they set up makes what happens in the subsequent episodes matter more.
Yeah, and I would agree with you on that. The premiere is a lot of trying to build the plot points of what we're going to see going forward, and ultimately I would agree with you that it nails that.
Yeah. So kind of the only important things from episode 1 are we're kind of focused on one of the 5 kids when they get transferred to the synthetic bodies. They get new names. Everything's like Peter Pan themed. So the main one is Wendy. So she's kind of
the families do not know about it, which is an important piece for later.
Well, I think some of them might not. Some of them might. It's implied that Wendy's dad knew.
Okay.
There are lines that imply that. It's hard to say though. They might have been lied to. I don't know, because someone said like dad wouldn't let me see you or something like that. I think there was a line that Hermit dropped at one point. He said something like that. He's like, dad wouldn't let me see you. So, like there was a line like that.
Gotcha.
But there definitely is like sinister stuff with it though, because like a lot of them definitely don't seem to know, or like think that they've been dead for a while. But we have Wendy, and then she has a brother of a similar, he's older, way older than her. He's a medic on one of the Prodigy like response teams. I had a thought that this whole thing was a vehicle for getting talk about Ice Age again, by the way. Did you notice that a new Ice Age movie just got announced?
I notice that?
They just announced the new Ice Age movie.
Oh no, I didn't. I did see some online discourse about Ice Age in the show, and
they got people talking about it again, and they just announced the new movie. Yeah. So they were like, "Listen, how we're gonna do it." Look, it's a controversial decision to advertise our children's IP in this alien murder show, but we got to get the word out somehow, right? Right, guys?
No, it's a brilliant place to do it because the parents are gonna watch the show.
Yeah, yeah, there you go.
The parents are going to be like, a new Ice Age? Heck yeah. Come on, kids.
There's like a whole thing with them watching Ice Age together, and they both like know the movie.
Right.
I've only ever seen the first one 25 years ago.
The first one is excellent.
There's apparently 6, because the newest one's the 7th.
I don't know anything about any of those, but the first one's great.
So it's Wendy, her brother, Hermit, and then the other kids. And then we got the Prodigy CEO, who's called like the Boy Wonder. And then the best character in the show is absolutely Kirsch, played by Timothy Olyphant.
Just incredible.
He gradually steals the show, and come episode 3, it's his show. And then
I agree.
Episode 4, he takes a step back. I think they realized like, hey guys, I think we're going a little too far with how cool he is. We gotta dial it back in future episodes, and they definitely do, because he's barely in the 4th one. But yeah, he like gradually takes control of the whole show for the better. He's just like a really cool dude. He's a synthetic. I imagine he's probably like a mixture of like, he has restrictions and probably some protocols, but not a lot compared to some other synthetics we've seen in the franchise. It's hard to say. I guess we'll see as it goes on. But the Weyland-Yutani ship has crashed in a city that's in the Prodigy Corporation's like domain. So right away they're like, that's ours. And there is a pretty funny line that like Kirsch, Timothy Olyphant's character, says, where he's like, you hit your baseball into the neighbor's yard. Like there's like some funny stuff like that.
He's got line after line that's just like, oh my god, I gotta write that down.
Oh dude, it's like the back half of 2 and like most of 3. He's just killing every scene he's in. Weyland-Yutani, it's Yutani's like great granddaughter, I assume. Because like her name is actually Yutani. She's like, they're having like little CEO Zoom calls about like, I want my stuff back, and he's like, nah.
That scene surprised me a little bit, because I don't know, I figured that the Wonder Boy would kind of play ball a little bit more. I guess if he doesn't feel like he needs to, I guess, but I don't know. That scene surprised me a little bit with how how kind of bullish he was, and I think he could end up paying for that at some point.
I fully believe he will, because again, the impression I got was that Prodigy, being the newest one on the scene, has got to be the smallest. And like, I think like if Weyland-Yutani wanted, they could probably send like some kind of crazy hit squad to his house. We don't really know how that all works in this world. Like, maybe there is some kind of legal statute about, like, you know, salvage claim or whatever if it crashes in my backyard. We also don't know how often these corporations are in like actual conflict with each other, like if it's like an endless proxy war thing, or if they're actually kind of at peace and they just trade. We really just don't know. We haven't gotten that part of it yet, but it definitely I got the same impression. I was like, he seems like he's punching above his class with that interaction that he has with Yutani.
I agree.
And another interesting thing about the alien universe not having faster than light travel is that Morrow eventually gets on the phone with Yutani, and he's like, I have a direct line to Yutani. And she's like, this is her. You were probably working with my grandma. She died like, 20 years ago, because he'd been in space for 60 years.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Well, yeah, Ripley's daughter died when in between the first movie and the second movie, because she was lost in space for like 50 years. Even if she had gotten back to Earth on time, they were still out there for like 10 years or whatever, like decades. It's like you're giving up a weird part of your life. Like when you travel in space in that universe, you're extending your life, but losing things that are valuable to you at the same time. Because Morrow has come back to an Earth that has an entirely, I don't know if Prodigy was there before. They wouldn't have been, because the kid's the founder. So he's like, 25. So Morrow has come back to an Earth with an entirely new superpower on it, and his whole family's dead from old age. Like, those are the consequences of space travel and these jobs in their world.
Yeah, I mean, good thing that he's a synth. But
he's not a synth. He's a cyborg. There's a distinction. He has augmentations like Deus Ex. Like, he has like super arms and maybe some other stuff. He has like a data terminal too, so he has some kind of brain thing. But he's still human. That's why we'll get to it in that's why things happen that happen with the eggs. I wondered the same thing. I wondered if he was a synth or not. But it is confirmed he has implants.
So he is a character that has grown on me as well throughout the show.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. I think the show does a great job with all the characters, really. There aren't any characters that I'm like, like, some of them have like interesting things going on that are still worth seeing, even if I don't like them too much. But let's move on to where it gets more interesting. So the payoff to all the setup is when we finally have the characters like exploring the crash, because two things are happening simultaneously. The Prodigy response teams are going through the wreckage of the ship. It crashes into like these big, like, kind of Judge Dredd-esque big tower buildings that have like 1 billion apartments in them. Peach trees. So like it's wedged like into one of those buildings, basically. So they're exploring the ship, but they're also having to go through the tower itself, like evacuate people. And then the android kids get sent to the site for a few reasons. It's Wendy wants to find her brother, and I thought it was interesting that the boy wonder knows that and like still lets her go, knowing full well that she doesn't care about anything going on except for the brother. But at the same time, he's like excited to see how they'll handle things in a real world situation with their super abilities and whatnot, their mega android strength and so on. So they're exploring the ship simultaneous to the other people too, and then we finally get some conflict.
Yeah, I was kind of confused by the idea of him allowing his new investments to go to this potentially hostile scenario type thing. But then once you realize that he can see through their eyes, I was like, I'm not really surprised by that, because he wants to know what's on this ship, and he wants to he's a control freak, like 100% control freak. And I think that if you go into it understanding that about the character, the risk kind of makes a lot more sense, because I think the whole brother thing is kind of a scapegoat for what he really wants to see. But it's interesting. They certainly get into quite a few things.
Yeah, because I think he's also thinking, like, you know, they go to a crash site, they have like better hearing and better sight and like mega strength, so like he could, like, I see them pick up this rubble and save somebody, and it's my super awesome android project, you know, winning for me. But at the same time, he knows that since he's in control of them effectively, whatever classified stuff happens on there, he's got like pretty a tight lid on it whenever it comes to pass, which it does.
Yeah, and I don't think Wonder Boy seems like the kind of guy who would trust like military style ops. Like he wants to be in complete control and not really allow anybody else to. He's a control freak, right?
Yeah. One thing I guess I wasn't really expecting going into the show was that so far in this franchise, at least in like the canonical ones, xenomorphs are pretty much the only other life form in the universe that we've seen besides humans. So I wasn't really expecting other fauna to be on display, but that ship was like a menagerie of horrors. There's all kinds of wacky stuff they've got on there. Some things we've seen, some things we really haven't. I think besides the xenomorphs themselves, there's also like this little evil eye thing called the eye midge. It's like a crawling eyeball with tentacles, and it's kind of got like the thing kind of going for it, where like it'll burrow into a creature's eye socket and like take control of their brain as it feeds on them, but like it also controls the body at that point. So there's kind of like a mimicry aspect to it, although it's terrible because it's like a bloody corpse mess when it does it, but like that's what's sort of going on. I thought it was interesting that the little bastard tried to go after one of the synths, because it was like, what's it gonna do? I think if it had succeeded, it would have done damage to him, obviously, but it also would have been like, what is this? Like it probably would have like ejected itself.
Yeah, and it went after one of the synths that has some real issues later in the show, which I thought was interesting.
Those issues seem to be born of that moment too.
I agree. Yep.
Yeah. So like they're all kids, right? You got to keep that in mind as they're like introduced to this horror situation. They don't really appreciate or fully grasp that they're essentially immortal. Like obviously xenomorphs have acid for blood, but discounting that, I don't think anything in that lab is like an actual threat to them in any situation. But they don't really know that because they have the minds of a kid. So it's understandable that they're still fearful and apprehensive. They don't have like emotion suppressors. In fact, they've got the opposite. They literally tell us that they're having like puberty simulated in their minds to help them like age up mentally.
Yeah, Kirsch has, I can't remember the exact line, so
I know what it is.
Try, but he has an excellent line.
He says, "Fear is for animals. You're no longer animals. Don't be afraid."
Oh, so good.
But he says it like such an asshole.
Yep.
But it's great. And he's right. You guys literally are not like, you are Terminators. Like they don't really get it though. It's like a weird aspect to their development that they haven't been like, they're not fully cognizant of what they really are. They're like, our sicknesses have been cured. And that's kind of as far as they really think it. At least until episode 4, when we do start to see changes happening. But prior to that, they're just kids through and through.
Right. The one thing that episode 2 did for me that I really, really liked is several times it puts the xenomorph behind the scene. And you can't quite see it until the actors on screen leave and the camera sits and you see it move. And that stuff I absolutely love because it trains the viewer to look at the entire screen, not just what's going on. And there's a really good payoff later in episode 2, shortly before an absolute bloodbath of a scene. Where they pull that again, where there's something going on right in the front, and then behind.
Let's just talk about it. So, I will say right out of the gate, I was kind of surprised that old Steve showed up as soon as he did in episode 2. Considering how much they were teasing it in episode 1, because he's in episode 1 on Earth, but it's always like he's skittering around in the background somewhere. And I have to wonder what drives the decision making for xenomorphs to go from like observing mode to murder mode. But he shows up, say he, like it, whatever it is. Steve shows up. There's a scene with Hermit as they're climbing through like a broken staircase, and there's like this black kind of abyss in this rubble above him, and like Drool hits him on the shoulder, and you're like, oh well, there it is. And he looks up, and I'm kind of thinking like he'll look up for a second and he won't see anything, and they're gonna play up that paranoia of like the coworkers being like, Hermit, you're so dumb, dude, and like they just move on. But no, like the xenomorph just barrels out of the darkness and tries to kill him like right there. And the two soldiers that are with him see it, so it's like the word is out. Like people, more than one individual have now seen this thing and know it's there. So like my fears of like a Scooby-Doo kind of thing where it's like, I'm telling you, man, there's a monster. No, there's not, for like 2 episodes was thankfully abated right then and there. He barely gets away, and then later on he rejoins his comrades, and they continue going door to door, and you get this hysterical scene where like this dude opens the door and he's wearing like 17 like 80s French aristocrat makeup, and he's like, I'm having a party, the Cassians are here, and the guy's like, there's a spaceship in the lobby, we gotta go, and he's like, no, I'm fine. And that's when you get the background shot of this like black statue that the xenomorph had like parked itself on, and is like just blending perfectly in. I like that. That's something that not enough of these movies take advantage of, that their weird biomechanical body structure can be used to like blend into environments like that. Because like that's in the first movie, like the creature, you know, stows away on the shuttle, and like it had jammed itself into the walls and the pipes, like it burst out at Ripley. But like not all the movies use that. It was kind of cool to see that in play again. And then he runs in that apartment and like kills people so fast that most of the corpses are still sitting at the dinner table in their chairs dead. It's like, crazy. Holy Christ. Crazy. And like, unfortunately, there was like a little bit of like a plot armor thing going on with Hermit in that sequence, but like everything else that happens was just so insane to me. It was great.
Yeah, I wish we would have seen some of those kills, but again, I think this point in the show, they're like playing up like this is what the xenomorph can do when it's going against things that can't really defend themselves, right?
Right.
But yeah, I thought the whole scene where he's the statue, like I would love that shot like on my phone. But yeah, just I mean, I thought episode 2 really went from like it cranked it up quite a bit, because like we had said before, 1 was a lot of trying to build the plot, and 2 you get a lot of xenomorph. Like you really get a lot of xenomorph.
Yeah, and the first chunk of 3 as well. You get a lot of them too.
Yep.
I think it was worth the wait, because like those scenes are great and they're shot really well, and the suit work is really cool. We get to see Morrow appear again. Morrow, you know, is very much playing up that element where I'm like, are these corporations like at war sometimes? Because like he killed some people and then like tied up others as he was like defending the ship from outsiders and whatnot. But he captures the xenomorph.
That was a strange scene.
Yeah, he like captures it like it's no big deal, and then like he puts it in a weird bag thing that like I was wondering if that was gonna put it in the stasis or like tighten around it. It's just like a loose bag, and like it immediately tears out of it. So I was like, what the I don't know what the plan was with that, because like it didn't last 2 seconds. There is a weird moment where like it goes over his shoulder, and I think that that's one of the not good shots for me, because like it doesn't look that good.
Right,
because it's like fully lit is why, so you can kind of see the rubberiness to it. And again, I'm like confused, like why does it go from like murdering people at 1 per second and then not, because it goes over his shoulder to be like, I'm scary, and like it doesn't kill him. And I'm like, why? Like just do it. You wanted to kill him like there was no tomorrow on the ship, now you don't. Like pick one, man, come on.
I think it might be because Morrow can't be impregnated by an alien.
But he
so
can,
he has
though.
No reason.
I mean, they'll try. because
maybe
the
his
eggs were reacting
cybernetics
too early.
kind of disallow for that, and maybe he can see
Nah.
kind of like what he's got going on his chest.
If you got
I don't know, because
flesh,
I do think it's weird.
If you got flesh, like if you're a living thing, you have living tissue, you can be infested, like 100%. Because we get an example of like the minimal needs that go into how that stuff happens. Because like I wouldn't even really clear how they were doing it before, but we get to see an X-ray version of this whole process, and like that,
which I loved.
Yeah, the tadpole thing is able to gestate inside of a lung, so it's like it just needed organic tissue.
Right, that's true.
Yeah, and which Morrow has, because later on we see that there are eggs on the ship, so presumably they were like experimenting on one, and a facehugger got loose and got somebody. But like there are more eggs left over, and they don't react at all, even when touched by a synthetic person. But when Morrow got close to him, they were starting to like, you know, get ready to open up, and he had to run away. Like that's why he left, because like he knew if he stayed, the egg was gonna hatch, and he's probably screwed. So he like ran off because of that. I will say that I was glad that what happened in Romulus didn't happen in this movie. I would assume that if a xenomorph comes across a synthetic person, someone that's not alive and thus cannot be food or a host for the hive, they need to be terminated immediately because they are a threat. But they ignored Andy and Romulus.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so bizarre. That doesn't happen in this show, and I was very glad. Because at the beginning of episode 3, Wendy fights Steve.
Which was that was a wild scene. When they were in the shipping crate and he kind of lays the trap a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought that scene was, while I thought it was really cool and I thought it was shot really well, and the look of the alien behind the curtain was really, really cool.
Yes.
It didn't really make a lot of sense to me because
I have thoughts.
He should have just rushed them. They have no way to escape that room.
Well, I know why. So this is where I'm glad to see the decisions are different. So I don't think it was a trap. I think that drone was like literally it picked a spot to like start a hive, because it was like, you know, it's the end of this tunnel. It seems defensible. It's in like a colder environment. Maybe that's why, I don't know. But like, you know, if they're stringing somebody up, I think that's the inklings of like a nest in the making. I don't think that it was a trap, like in the sense. But when it enters, I'm sure that thing can tell that she's not flesh. She's something different. And I think that kind of made it go like, I don't know what you are, but I'm going to approach this a little bit differently accordingly. So I like that it seemed to treat her presence as like, I gotta rethink myself here. Because then it tries to like get at her from a different angle to like avoid a straight rush.
Sure.
I thought that's my interpretation, that it could like smell or whatever senses they have. We really just don't know. There have only been 2 POVs with the xenomorphs, and neither one of them seemed like a definitive like this is what they see, because like the fisheye thing was just too weird, and then like Covenant gave us like the squiggle vision, and it's just like neither one of those seemed like they would be what it actually is. So however it's able to detect things, I think that it could tell that Wendy was something that's like, you're not food and you can't be a host. I don't know what you are. I gotta think about this for a second.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
It was a great fight though. I like how she wrangled it by the tongue, and it didn't really have an answer for that.
Yeah, and then she gets locked into that room with it, and we don't really know how it goes. And Hermit hits some buttons on the wall. The door comes up, the smoke comes out, and what do we see? But we see Steve all cut up, and Wendy, presumably she puts her hand on her head, and there's synth blood. So presumably she got hurt, right?
It probably punched her or kicked her or tail whacked her or something, because it was like bludgeoning damage. She wasn't like cut in half, and it wasn't acid because she wasn't burning. So it must have clocked her really good when they were fighting. And again, we see how strong they are. So like that would be a pretty devastating hit even for a synthetic, clearly. But I've told you before, I've always had this dream of like, I want to see a synthetic and a xenomorph throw hands. And a lot of that fight is behind a closed door, but I got plenty of it on screen to be like, yeah, she can like, she's stronger. Like she's pulling it against its will across that room by the tongue. So I do like that, these synths are a real threat to them. And I think he knew that. That's why he like tried to go at her from a different angle at first. Because it's suspected as such. I think that that Morrow also threw it off too. It could probably smell like Morrow is also like partially weird too. It's learning things, man. He's learning things. Just not enough.
He's learning at the geometric rate.
It's a neural net processor, a learning computer. So Steve dies in the beginning of episode 3, and as of episode 4, we have not had like another proper adult xenomorph yet. But we do now have a chest burster because Hermit is like critically injured as well, because Steve, gets fed up with him too, and it impales him at one point. And they take his lung out, and they give him like a bionic lung, and they take his organic lung they've removed, and they put it in like a little respiratory chamber, and they experiment with the facehugger's embryo, which we're now seeing. It was described to us in Romulus, it's like it implants a spore or whatever. Now we're seeing it. It's like a little tadpole thing. And this is where I have to say that I don't, well, they definitely didn't. The people that made Romulus and the people that made this show, they never met or talked or anything. Because we have like direct conflicts as to the incubation time frames. And this is where I think that like I was really bummed that we're in this golden era of content, but we are still just as fragmented in terms of the rules and goings on of the universe.
Yeah, the time frame with which it takes for a face hugger to grab and then to fall off, like that's the quandary that we kind of find ourselves in. What does Kirsch say? What is it, 24 to 48 hours? Is that what it was?
It's Morrow. So in Romulus, Navarro gets face hugged, and in what has to be less than 5 to 10 minutes, they get it off of her, and then she runs back to the ship. The ship like departs. So let's just say that took no more than 15 to 20 minutes. So basically, in universe, it cannot have been more than like 30 minutes since it was like on her face for the first time, and the chest burster bursts out of her. So like under an hour, the whole thing under an hour, which is like very similar to the first AVP where it's like 2 minutes. I think I timed it as a joke, and it clocked in at like less than 2 minutes. They went from face hugged to burst, and then this show goes back to the original Alien, where like it's a multiple day thing, where Morrow is describing to one of the kids what this process is like, and he's like, it's gonna grab onto their face, it'll be on their face for like a day, and then they'll get up and they'll be fine for a while, and you can bring them to me. So he's saying that they'll be fine long enough for them to like get to wherever he is. Which again is more like the first movie / Alien Resurrection, where that one dude in Resurrection that was with them for like the whole movie, like, and it never came out of him until the very end. Like they're doing that again, which I'm fine with. I actually prefer it to be longer.
I agree. Yeah, totally,
but it's just like kind of whiplash to have Romulus explain to us, well, it's because of the black fluid from Prometheus that this is like such a quick and crazy process. But then this movie still flavoring the embryo with the black stuff. Presumably it's the, black fluid or whatever, but like, it's gonna be days. And I'm like, can we pick one, please?
Yeah, part of me doesn't really mind all that much. Of course, you would prefer there to be a unified plan, but I'm not really all that upset by there not being continuity there. There's a scene with Kirsch that I really want to highlight, where the facehugger, one of the eggs hatches, and Kirsch just slams that thing on the counter and just like strong arms the
Oh,
fake face hugger, and I loved that
yeah,
scene. That was before he extracts the tadpole.
yeah, they cut into it from the side.
Yeah.
So they perform surgery on the egg, grab the face hugger out of it, and like you said, they just like wrestle that thing to the table. It's like screaming and hollering. They kill it somehow. They shock it to death or something. And then they dissect it, and then they find the tadpole, the thing that's actually gonna like push into you when it grabs you, and they pull it out, which is funny. I thought that they were gonna have it like just like grab onto a lab animal or something.
I thought they were gonna put it in Hermit.
Well, that too, like something like that, and they bring that sheep in there, and I was like, oh, here we go. But that's not what the sheep is for. The sheep is for the eye critter,
which is a great scene. That scene was
horrifying.
Seeing it, horrifying is the word. Seeing like a livestock like turn and look with like intent was so jarring for me. Like it was genuinely scary because you just never see that, right?
Yeah, it was because like when it jacks into a corpse like that, or a body, it's not a corpse yet, but it will be. It's like grabbing onto the brain and using it, like it's using the brain of the host creature for like more brain RAM. Like Kirsch is like, it's got elevated levels and blah 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 blah. So it's enhancing its own intellect. So like it's literally like expanding its own mind, like with another thing's brain. Creepy thing. I gotta wonder, like that thing, I cannot see that thing coexisting with xenomorphs. I mean, it has nothing to dig into on a xenomorph skull. It also cannot be face hugged. So the two creatures are directly opposed. Like they cannot. It's like, I want to see what happens when the two of them meet. Like a xenomorph comes across this thing. Like what's gonna happen? Like what's it gonna try to do? I really hope that happens.
What my like dream scenario with that species would be, it finds a way to infiltrate one of the humans in the show and it cleans up its eye, and it's used as a twist later in the show. That's my like dream thing, where it takes over someone and we don't see it, and it finds some way to clean up that eye, so you literally can't. That's what I hope we end up seeing with that, because I think it would be a really interesting story beat.
Yeah, that certainly could happen, because you got to wonder if it like gets like a sentient creature's brain like a human, then you'd think that it would become aware of concepts like deception. So that certainly could happen. I feel like the CEO, Wonder Boy, is going to be the victim of that thing ultimately.
I would not be surprised at all.
I think that they're foreshadowing that with him going like me when he was like pointing at it. We got to also highlight that really baller scene with Kirsch and him when they first bring the eggs in.
Yes.
There's a pretty cool scene where Boy Wonder puts his face right up to the egg, like Kane in the first movie, and it's gonna open up. It's like wiggling, and I love Kirsch's face because he looks like confused, and then like you can kind of see the light bulb go off where he's like, oh, that's what happened, and he grabs the guy and like throws him out of the room. And what I like about that is that in that same episode, I think was the moment where the lead android scientist was like complaining about stuff, and Boy Wonder was like, have a spine, and like everyone was like all meek and like, I don't want to talk back to you, mighty king. But then Kirsch is just like, get out of here, and like pushes him out. I like the difference in the relationship there, but it is also cool. I like that this show has characters that are like not stupid, because through deduction and what he got from the files on the ship, he like figures it out. Like, okay, these eggs are dangerous. It's gonna hatch. It's gonna do something to you. You are the, it's gonna, develop inside of you. So like no organics can come in here. It's really cool. I love that scene a lot. His face is just priceless as he sees it wiggling and he's just like, what the hell? Like, it's so cool. I love that whole scene.
Yeah, well, and one of the really important scenes in episode 4 was just two story bits in that I think we certainly need to bring up. is Morrow is communicating with one of the kids and trying to get the child to unlock the egg. The egg jumps on a human host, and then he kind of gets the human host to Morrow. But throughout Morrow communicating with one of the kids, Kirsch has listened in.
He did.
And Morrow is being very clear about how this is going to go. And it will be very interesting to see what Kirsch does with that info, because I almost guarantee you that he's not going to act on it immediately and try to stop. Is it Slightly?
I think. I kind of forget. I don't say their names enough. I have to like go back and take a note, because like I don't even really remember. I think the crazy one's name is Nibs.
Yeah.
Wendy. I don't remember the Peter, because I don't know Peter Pan well enough to know all that. That's the first problem for me.
I agree. Yeah, I'm the same.
I'm not a Peter Pan.
But anyways, fan. Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see what Kirsch does with the info that one of the kids is literally trying to betray them. So
I think that's why he was standing inside of the egg chamber afterwards. It's probably what that was. That's why.
Yeah.
There's no other reason for him to be standing there for no reason besides guarding him. But that brings us to our next contribution to the world building. So Romulus kind of sheds some light on the black fluid. Alien Earth has shined light on how these critters communicate. And I gotta tell you, once again, the relief that washed over me. I was afraid of like a whodunit thing where they'd be like, no one believes the aliens around for like an episode or two. Didn't happen, thank God. I was also afraid that this was telepathy. Like her brain is so advanced and supercomputer that it picks up psionic waves, and the aliens are psychic, and that's how they talk. I was like so ready for that, but I didn't want it to be the case, and it's not the case. They communicate with like this ultra high frequency sound signals. So I guess they got to have some kind of like echolocator organ in their skulls that are doing that. But we now know that they do have like, I wouldn't say a language, but like we know how they can communicate to each other. We know how the hive mind is being broadcast now. It's like this creepy ultra high frequency like bug noise thing. And after kind of helping her, Wendy has learned to listen to it, but also replicate it. And
which was an interesting.
Yeah, I like this. Sure. I like this because this is what Ripley 8 should have been in Resurrection. Because she's like the monster whisperer. The chest burster that they were incubating in Hermit's old lung, rockets out of that chamber, which is funny because no one's watching it. Like Wendy just happened to be there. What would have happened? Like, there's no one there. It would have just been on the loose. Luckily she was there. And at first it's like, typical chest burster is very hostile and wants to escape. But then she starts to use the words, the sounds. She starts to play them back. And I love how the critter's not trusting. It's just kind of like, what'd you say to me? And then she ends up like touching it, and like it's okay with that. Like it's really interesting.
Yeah, and the show does a really good job trying to like build up the hype for like what Wendy can do, because several times when she gets to the ship, there are scenes where there's some sort of sound that she can hear that no one else can hear. And me and you talked a lot about like what could that mean? So the show did a great job trying to like build up hype for that. And I think the payoff is great, and I'm excited to see kind of how they use that as we move to the next half of the show. I'm
kind of hoping, it's not going to happen, but like the crazy, I think the two paths here. Number one, the insane path that won't happen. I think she could become like some kind of crazy xenomorph monster woman who's like the new, basically she like fills the role of a queen. I doubt that'll actually happen. It'd be kind of weird, and wouldn't really fit with where she wouldn't really make sense to me, because she knows that they're monsters. But I don't know, could happen. I think that what might happen is there might be some kind of sequence where her brother's in trouble, or something's coming to a head, and she uses the alien speak to like rile them all up to cause some kind of like jailbreak scenario where it's like the only way that they can escape is by causing chaos, and she uses the language to do that. I think that's more likely, but it would be kind of cool, like sort of like that scene in Jurassic World where like Chris Pratt's guy is on the motorcycle with the raptors running aside of him. It'd be kind of nuts if we got something like that, but it's Wendy with like xenomorphs. I feel like
would not be a fan.
You don't think? I think that's the most likely thing. They're like, wouldn't it be so hype, you guys?
Oh God, they're gonna burn a thing on her head and be like, "Now you friend," and give her a spear and a shield. And I'm gonna blow my brains out.
I mean, she's already like being a mom to the little chest burster. She's giving it scritches. So
yeah, I'm that's the only thing about that scene I actually don't like.
Really?
I just don't like the idea of like in Resurrection when they're like carrying her. I've always thought that was so dumb.
It's dumb because it's the only moment like that. There, for some reason, they were always trying to kill her like any other of the people, and then all of a sudden, she's like embracing them like they're her sisters. But that was not the relationship that they had in the whole movie until that one moment. So it's just jarring and stupid. I feel like this show is earning that a little more because she can't speak the language and then fight Steve to the death. She can speak the language, and now she's like, I wouldn't say earning the trust, but the little chest burster is clearly like, I guess you're like, I can talk to you. Like, it doesn't seem like it's like
gonna
mommy.
Walk in that room and it's gonna run away.
Well, Kirsch was already looking at it. He was in the same room. Like, he's one door over. He's watching this happen. He's watching her talk to it and give it scritches. So like, he's seeing this, and he's like, I
still think that there's something about Kirsch that we don't know, and I just feel like there's like a dark side to him. Like,
I can't,
because we had discussed the scene with the egg and with the Prodigy CEO or whatever, and I had felt that Kirsch was like letting it drag on a minute and thinking, I wonder if I should let this play out. Like, that's how I felt when the light bulb, you said the light bulb went off. That's for me. I thought he was like, should I let this play out? No, I'm not going. and I feel like there's some sort of dark side to Kirsch, or some sort of decision he makes here soon that is at the detriment of someone and to the betterment of either Prodigy or Yutani.
I could definitely see that. I definitely saw that sequence as he was kind of putting the puzzle pieces together based off of what he observed with Morrow, and then kind of realizes, oh, you're in danger. Right. And I feel like he has some kind of programming built into him that he has to protect the life of the Boy Wonder. Like, given the Boy Wonder, until acquiring the horror zoo, his whole company was built around synthetic stuff. So like, I feel like the kid's smart enough to like force the synths in his employ to like be hard coded to protect him. I feel like, we don't know. Kirsch definitely seems less restricted than like other synths in the franchise. Like, he definitely reads more as a David kind of thing, and there is like a sinister nature to that. So I could totally believe it. It's perfectly possible. It's a great scene though, either way. Like I said, they clearly have like a different relationship, because like Kirsch will definitely like talk more frankly to the Boy Wonder than anyone else does.
Definitely, yeah.
The only one that doesn't is like his weird little I think the kids call him Smee. It's the bald guy who like threatens Hermit. Like, I think he's the only other one that like will speak frankly to. It's his job to. He's like, I guess he's like the chief of security or something. But he talks pretty frankly to the Boy Wonder as well.
But yeah, from like a macro point of view, so far I really love the show. It's done a lot of things that I didn't expect. I'm really glad that I didn't like do my research at all. I just kind of jumped into the show because I really didn't know what to expect at all. So the first like 15 minutes I was like, oh my god, this is really good. And then you know, now I'm just excited to kind of see where it goes. I think the show has done a good job, like you said a minute ago, building a roster of characters that are all interesting.
Yeah.
And you know, there's really only one plot line that I'm not like totally into. But for the most part, I mean, I'm really enjoying it quite a bit, and I think they've done a great job here.
Yeah, I think that both of us are like not super into the hermit stuff. Was that it?
Yes.
Yeah, because he's just kind of like, he's there and he's like, this is all horrible. Moving on. Like, that's like his whole thing.
Yeah, and he doesn't seem to be grateful at all that they gave him a free lung.
They didn't give him a free lung. That's not what happened. No. Smee threatened him afterward with that not being free.
Well, right, and they did kind of make the deal with him and all this. I don't know. I there's just something about that character. He might be the only.
I know what you mean. You mean you're surprised that he had all that happen to him. He didn't become a laboratory experiment. He's not dead, and he's not being held prisoner. But yet he has this attitude like he is. Like, he's very like, you guys are awful, actually. And if I could, I'd report you to the whatever. Like, he has that vibe to him, even though I think someone with like real self-awareness would just kind of like smile and wave to survive kind of thing. And like, he's not doing that, but he's also like a meek little fool. So like, it'd be different if it was like a character like Hicks from Aliens. Like, if it was, if Hicks was in his place, that scene where Smee threatens about you'll be in debt forever, Hicks would like punch that guy in the face. Like, but Herman's not going to do that, but he acts like he did, but like in a really snide, meek way. So it hits me weird, like it does you. I'm like, you want to talk about punching above your weight class? Look no further than this idiot.
yeah, for sure.
And then, despite the fact that he promised, you know, like, you know, you're going to be my employee and report things, and we're gonna let you stay here conditionally, he'll just like go to the group of the kids and be like, all your parents should be here. Talk about that. Like, don't cause dissent, dude. Like, don't make yourself a target for these people by like causing issues for their projects. You're going to get killed. He lacks that self-awareness, but he also clearly lacks the power to do anything despite the words he says. Like, you're not a superhero, dude. You're like a little guy. You're like a little dude.
Yeah, that might be, and I don't think poorly is the right word, but I just feel like the writing for him is a little bit. I feel like the only important thing about that character is that he is Wendy's brother. That's literally the only thing important about him.
Yep.
So something I want to drop on you, since this is like a half season thing that we're doing, is I want us to rate the show from 1 to 10.
God damn it.
I knew you were going to say that. And then we'll do this again when we have the whole show, and then we'll do it again and see how, you know, episode 5, 6, 7, and 8 kind of compare to 1 through 4. And I think it'll just be kind of interesting to go back to that. So I'm going to hit you right now.
All right.
I'm going to go real slow so you can think. How many xenomorph eggs does Alien Earth, episodes 1 through 4, get?
It definitely gets me at least 4 xenomorph eggs out of a possible Kane's helmet being broken.
Okay, so I didn't set the rules, and of course you would do that. So one being the worst and 10 being the best. How many xenomorph eggs does Alien Earth get?
You see, what's fascinating is how our world is. Okay, I would say that the first episode is fair. So that would be like, for most people, that'd be like 6 eggs.
Yeah. I was saying 5 or 6. Sorry.
Oh, you were saying 5. Okay, I wasn't sure what you were doing.
Yeah, no. Sorry. Please go ahead.
The second episode is a big uptick. The second episode is like it's like 4 eggs out of a possible Burke getting self-grenaded in that deleted scene in Aliens. Have you seen that? That's a deleted scene in Aliens, by the way. There's a deleted scene that reveals what happened to Burke when Ripley's looking. I won't stand this just really quick. There's a deleted scene, you can find it online, of when Ripley is looking for Newt and she gets close to the hive's like outer perimeter. She
Oh,
finds Burke, and he's like in this kind of hallway spot, and he'd already been face hugged, and she just gives him a grenade, and that's like what she does. He blows himself up. Anyway, the second episode, way better than the first one. That's definitely a lot more face hugger eggs per gallon. I would say that one slaps. The 8 eggs out of 10. What about you?
oh man, I'm kind of the same with you. Like the show starts off a little bit slow. I'd say episode 1 gets like 5 out of 10
Yeah.
eggs. But I honestly think the show has progressively gotten better, even though I
Yes.
would say that I felt that episode 3 might have been just a little bit better than episode 4.
I would
Just
agree.
because,
I would say that 3 is definitely the best one. I would give
Yes.
that. I would say that that one. See, on my personal scale of like rating things, which is words, I would say that episode 9, episode 3 is like amazing, which for a lot of people would be like a 9 out of 10.
yeah,
So like I wouldn't say, you know, for me it's not near perfection, but like it's damn good. Like it's really good. It had me super
Yeah.
engaged. So like that's a lot of eggs. That's like 11 eggs out of like 8 or so, but there's an inflation factor to the eggs. Problems happen. It's crazy how that works out. It works out to like a 9 out of 10.
it's tariff on the eggs and
Yeah, there's
all that.
tariffs. These face hugger eggs, they're really bad actually. I found out personally.
We love chest bursters.
I said, wow, that thing burst my chest.
Oh, beautiful! I love it.
4 for me dropped way off in comparison to 3, but not as low as
Sure.
1. That one's like good. I'd say it's like 7,
Yeah.
like 7 out of 10.
Yeah, the whole thing from 1 to 4, just like slapping one, not put on it. I would say in its totality, I give it an 8.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I'd say it's like great. Like I would say it's great. Great for me
Yeah.
is like what most people would consider 8 out of 10. Like it's, if I was gonna give it, if I was grading it like a teacher, you know, it's like a B. I'd say it's like a B minus so far. There's room to improve, but what we have here is pretty damn good.
I think I know what you're gonna say, but who's your favorite character so far?
My favorite character so far would be the French aristocrat guy that answered the door.
Mine would be Kirsch, and I'm telling you, you know, because I know that's what yours is too. But and this is for the viewers. If you want to see an absolutely brilliant synthetic performance in this world, Kirsch is where it's at. He has certifiably like made the show for, to be honest with you.
I would agree with that. He had me very interested, and I told you, I sent it to you in a text because we've texted furiously after watching these episodes, and the moment that I fell in love with Kirsch is when Morrow first stumbles onto 2 of the kids, and they are in the egg room, and Morrow is like deleting all the data from the ship that he can, and then like he talks to them. He is clearly the scary guy in that dynamic. He's threatening these 2 people that he thinks are synths, but kind of figures out pretty quickly that like something's really wrong with them. It's their kids, and like he's clearly in charge. He's the threat. He's the danger, because these kids again could like rip his head off if they wanted to, but they don't really get that, so they're scared of him. But then Kirsch appears, and the power dynamic immediately shifts, and like Kirsch is clearly now in charge. He's the new like alpha of the scene, and Morrow is clearly like weirded out and kind of scared of him, despite the fact that Morrow has a gun. He's like kind of like, oh, I don't know what to do now, and he ends up backing off and like running away because the facehugger eggs are also a problem too. That's when I was like in love with Kirsch, because that dude can flex power like when he needs to, and it's very impressive when he does.
Yeah, certainly the best character in the show for me, and I think his, you know, every scene that he's in, he elevates it, and I just hope we get more and more and more of him, because man, it's good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So good time. It's a good start. So that's the halfway point now. So we'll circle back around and see how the second half is. But so far, would recommend. I'd say check it out.
Absolutely.
And we will catch you on the next one. More spooky things to come that are actually going to be in October. I just had this like on hand from all the stuff we've done recently, and then it didn't even occur to me for 1 second that this is like September 2nd.
Nothing wrong with it at all, dude.
Well, The Conjuring comes out next week, and that's not October, so that's fair.
By the way, are you good to see that on Sunday?
Yes.
Sick. Okay. Conjuring 4. We're gonna see it.
Maybe do a podcast on that one too.
Heck yeah.
Just do a pondering cast. Oh God. I'm having a stroke.
Cut it.